This request comes from Kakonote Oji on what if Vegeta became a Majin at a young age. Honestly, this seemed a bit more random of a choice than the clear divergence points I usually use for my scenarios, but a request is a request and I will deliver. For this scenario, I'll place the events at age 747 when Vegeta is 15, and, like Goku, still within his childhood body at such an age. The change comes in Babidi and Dabra scouting out a random planet that Vegeta's group is conquering at the time. Dabra deems that these three would be more useful pawns than anyone else nearby, with Babidi trying to mind control Vegeta, and, with this Vegeta not having the experience to have gained as great strength of will when still under Frieza's rule, he becomes a loyal servant of the Madoshi. Nappa and Raditz soon fall in line too, with Babidi devising a plan to progress Boo's revival, while not immediately alerting Kaioshin unnecessarily. The Saiyans would continue about their missions to Frieza, but would be given an energy absorber to gather energy from the worlds they conquer. When returning to Frieza's planets, they explained the M on their foreheads was a mark left by a tricky opponent they had some difficulty in defeating, while hiding the energy absorber in one of their attack balls. This continues for a few years until Babidi reviews the amount collected, and sees the caliber of opponents they'd faced wouldn't even be enough to budge Boo's meter, and decides it's best for them to work for him full time, having them feign their deaths when shutting off their scouters, while Dabra pretends to fight them as they leave in Babidi's spaceship. Babidi then takes them to his hideout in the Makai, or Demon Realm, though normally finding such pawns worth disposing of or relegating to generic soldiers on his ship. Babidi takes note of Dabra having told him he can tell that such a merciless warrior species has the potential to be moulded into far more effective soldiers than the average, even if nowhere near his own tier. Dabra starts training the trio personally, and quickly sees them becoming far stronger when recovering from severe injuries. In a short amount of time, they reach the limit of how many times they can utilise the Saiyan power, with Vegeta becoming as strong as at his death on Namek, with Raditz and Nappa becoming slightly stronger than third form Frieza. Dabra is curious enough to ask if there are any other Saiyans left that could be used as effective warriors, with Raditz being reminded of his brother Kakaroto on Earth, and Vegeta mentioning his brother was sent to some unknown distant planet. The mention of Earth prompts Babidi to order everyone to go there, when worried a rampaging Saiyan may have affected Boo's cocoon. Babidi's approach to Earth is discovered by Shin, who jumps into action. It is age 750 by this point, being only a short while after Goku has started travelling to prepare for the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai in 3 years' time. Shin gets to Earth before Babidi, due to Kibito's Kaikai, and finds Kami, telling him everything he knows. Shin is also surprised to see Earth's Kami is a Namekian, which prompts Kami to deduce his ability to create the Dragon Balls came from his ancestry, and request Shin take him to his home planet. It's when arriving there, meeting with the Saichoro, and after his unlocked potential is deemed nowhere near enough to compete with what's expected of Babidi's soldiers, that Kami requests to use the Dragon Balls there. His first wish is to have his youth restored, and the next for knowledge or an item capable of countering Babidi. This comes in one of Shin and Kibito's respective Potara being destroyed as they become Kibitoshin. Wanting to assure he can do his best in case the worst case scenario of Boo being revived happens, Kibitoshin then has his potential unlocked by the Saichoro, before returning with Kami to Earth and taking Babidi on. Kibitoshin easily deals with the Saiyans as well as Pui Pui and Yakon if they are yet under Babidi's rule, before being surprised yet ready to fight Dabra. Though likely to have been an intense battle before, the potential unlocked in him gives gives Kibitoshin enough of an edge to defeat Dabra and bring an end to Babidi's ambitions. Goku's journey goes the same until performing Shugyo under Kami, with this Kami far more confident in his strength tutoring Goku directly, rather than purely leaving it to Popo, with this Goku becoming far stronger as a result. When Kami fights Piccolo, he easily bests his evil half, and the Mafuba is too strong for Piccolo to counter, with him being sealed away. Kami then bests Goku in the finals, and reminds him of how much further he needs to progress. Things are peaceful for a decade, until Goku succumbs to the heart virus, with 17 and 18 being unleashed a year later. Placing a far more careful eye on Earth's events, Kibitoshin takes action and stops his twins, leaving Earth at peace for the foreseeable future. For the Super timeline, Beerus wakes up briefly and destroys Frieza, but goes back to sleep shortly after when having not had the Super Saiyan God dream. Cold is forced to step out of retirement, and chooses to cut back on his evil actions as to not annoy Beerus, though still keeps his business and empire functioning legitimately by selling off some of his territory. Meanwhile, Tarbell is far more directionless on where to go to escape from Abo and Kador, eventually being found and dealt with. The more stable state of his organisation than in Super causes Cold to have no need for his troops to scout out Vampa, and Broly remains undisturbed. His presence does cause Granola to make his wish there, with him toppling both the Heaters and Cold. On Earth though, the Gammas defeat the Dragon Team with ease, but it's not too long later that Hedor catches on to Magenta's ambitions and stops him. Cell Max not being a factor here without the first Cell. Speaking of which, Cell would be unleashed years later, and go about absorbing who he can, when neither perfection nor time travel are an option, but will be dealt with once he becomes too much of a threat to Earth's safety for Kibitoshin to ignore. In the GT timeline, Baby's grand superization plan goes nearly unopposed. Kibitoshin makes an effort, but he is no match for a baby-possessed Rild. Though incapable of achieving his goal of possessing the Saiyan, Baby has no opposition and uses either the Namekian or Earth Dragon Balls to restore planet Sufru, become immortal, and whatever else he desires. He'd inevitably overuse them though, and give rise to the evil dragons, essentially being ruler of nothingness when they destroyed the universe, as I've gone into before. A similar fate holds up for Universe 7 in Super's timeline as well, with Xenor having no need to not erase it at some point. It's in this scenario that we see both the importance of Goku and Vegeta's involvement in preventing the universe from reaching a bleak endgame, and the importance Vegeta's independence from Frieza after Namek had on strengthening his willpower and making him one of Dragon Ball's most iconic characters. Thank you for having watched through this What If. Comment any requests you have for What If or Dragon Ball analysis below, and subscribe so you don't miss it. Check out this playlist for ones I've covered before, and I'll see you next time.